for me to say, I'm still gonna stay with you, I'm still gonna be loyal to you, and I'm not even like, guys, this wasn't, no, I don't want to say what it was, because it's just, it's crazy, but it was no, like, I'm sorry, like, begging for my forgiveness and being like, I'm not gonna do it again, please stay. It was, he did a whole other level type of act that made me be like, oh shit, like, if I leave him, this could get really bad. And obviously I cared about him, I loved him with all of my heart, and I didn't want anything to get to a level that was something that we couldn't take back. I didn't want it to get to a point where something would happen and we could not reverse time and be like, you know what, we could have done this better, you know what I'm saying? So I tried to handle the situation as best as I could, and I stayed with him, and eventually, as the days went by, we had talks, and my voice is getting so shaky, but we had talks and stuff, and he told me, like, I should have never DM'd her, like, I'm sorry, like, I just wanted this, like, that's all, like, and my friends were trying to, like, my friends persuaded me to do this, and, you know, I was listening to the wrong people, and I was surrounded by the wrong people, and it'll never happen again, like, I don't ever want a girl to have a one-up on you, and just that things were going to change, you know what I'm saying, and I believed him, I stayed with him, and for a little bit, things were better, but then they weren't, and I think that honestly was the big, like, downfall to our relationship. I think all the other things that we dealt with were small compared to this. This was something where I had to trust that everything that I was being told was true, or things that I was being told were false. I kind of had to make that judgment for myself. But I would say that's something that from that moment things were never the same. And so with that being said, I'm gonna skip forward. We argued a lot after that. Like, at first we didn't, but eventually, like, just, I think the trust wasn't there anymore. And so, I will admit, this is one of the things that really, like, after that happened, my trust for AJ was gone, and he knew it. I told him, I said, I don't have trust for you anymore. Like, you're gonna have to earn it back. And he was like, I'll do whatever it takes, blah, blah. So with that being said, he made me feel so insecure because of that situation that I ended up checking his phone, like, every single day. Sometimes twice a day, because he would always be on his phone. I'd be like, let me see who's on your phone, let me see who you're texting, because it's like, your girlfriend's sitting right next to you, you could be talking to me, but you're always on your phone. And he would be like, oh, it's business stuff, and sometimes it would be, or he'd be like, oh, I'm just texting my friends, and he would be. After that, I never caught him, like, ever messaging a girl. He literally was like, I'm staying away from all girls because of that situation. Like, I don't want people to be able to say stuff that didn't happen and isn't true. So but obviously I still didn't trust that. Like, it's like, you already broke my trust, so yeah, I'm gonna check your phone every single chance that I get. I'm like, let me check your phone, and like, that's just something that, you know, when there's no trust, there's no relationship. And I think from that moment, our relationship had been over since then. So that was like 2 months ago. That's when our relationship actually ended. And I think we both just tried to act as if it didn't. I think he personally didn't want to feel like it was his fault that our relationship started going down from that moment on, and I think I personally didn't want to feel like if I gave up that maybe it could have gone better. Like I said, I always want to believe that things can get better. I always want to see the better side of people, so I always thought, like, this will get better, and I stayed, and I stuck through so much, but he just got worse and worse and worse as a person. Like, people don't understand, like, the reason. I think a lot of people were like, why is she speaking out about this? It's so childish, like, this should be dealt between the two of them. And it's like, first of all, when he does wrong, he doesn't talk it out. He doesn't say, you know what, I'm sorry, let me fix this, let me do right by you. His response is, I'm tired of fucking arguing, and then blocks me. Like, blocks me on everything. And I'm like, how are you going to be in a relationship with someone for 6 months, and then your response to when I start feeling like you're doing something wrong is to block me. How is that supposed to make me feel any better, like, that you're not doing something wrong? You would think, because, like, when he comes to me and says, oh, I feel like you're doing this and that, I'm like, no, baby. Like, I reassure him, like, no, I'm loyal, I'm here for you, call me whenever you want, FaceTime me whenever you want, like, I'll answer it, like, you know, like, if you want to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'll answer it, so you know I'm being loyal, like, I'm not with no one else, I don't want to be, you know what I mean? But when I say something to you, it's like, you're trying to start an argument, I'm blocking you, like, don't talk to me for the rest of the day. So anyways, fast forward, we started arguing a lot, and it got to a point where I wanted a break from him, and so I actually was meant to go on vacation with my friend Sarah and her friends, and so they were going to, I can't remember where they were going to, but they were going somewhere, and she invited me, and so I told AJ, obviously I was going to ask him, like, hey, is it cool if I go on vacation with my friends? Not because I felt like I needed his permission to go, but because I'm in a relationship, I want to respect that, like, the other person's opinions. And to be honest, I didn't think he was going to say no. And so I asked him if I could go, and his response was no. And he was like, the only reason people go on vacations is to meet other, like, guys go to meet girls and girls go to meet guys and get drunk and party. And I was like, okay, but I'm going because I want to travel, which is the whole reason I came here in the first place. You know, like, I want to travel, I want to see more of the world, like, I'm there with them, and I was like, I'll even call her and see what they're doing. So I called Sarah, and I was like, hey, what do you plan on doing when you're there? And she was like, oh, like, we have a thing to go camelback riding, is that what it's called? Yeah, camelback riding or whatever, or horseback riding or something like that, and then, like, to go explore or whatever. Like, she not once did she say, oh, we're gonna go get drunk and party and go meet guys. And so he heard me on the phone with her too. I put on speaker, and I was like, see, they're going to go, like, do tourist stuff. And he was like, I'll think about it. And so eventually he ends up saying yes, but it was more of a yes to where it made me feel guilty for going. So I ended up telling her I wasn't coming because I felt like if I went, it was going to start an argument. I felt like the only reason he was saying yes is because even Sarah was like, why is he saying no? Like, that makes no sense. Like, you should be able to go. And I think he felt like he kind of saw that other people thought he was being controlling. And so I felt like he only wanted to say yes so that he wouldn't feel that way anymore. But it had already gone to a point where he complained about it so much that it made me feel guilty, and I was like, okay, I'm just not gonna go because I don't want to start any more problems in my relationship that I already have. Like, we argue all the time, like, I don't want it to be another reason for us to argue, so I'm just not gonna go. And I did that a lot. I did that a lot with a lot of things I wanted to do, I didn't do because I didn't want there to be arguments. For instance, AJ was to perform at this club, and I actually got invited to host the same night that he was performing. So they invited me to come and be like, hey guys, what's up? Like, okay, AJ and Dino are about to perform, blah, 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 you know? And then he would perform. But we got invited separately. They didn't invite me and say, hey, AJ's girlfriend, we want you to come host. And they didn't invite him and say, hey, AJ's girlfriend, we want you to come perform. They invited him through his management, and they invited me through my DMs. And so I had said yes to them. And then I ended up bringing it up to AJ because his parents don't let me go to his shows. And so I ended up bringing it up to him saying, hey, guess what? I actually got invited to host at one of the shows that you're performing at. And he was like, don't go. And oops, my phone's about to die, guys. I'm going to go inside in a second. He was like, don't go. And I was like, why? And he was like, you already know it's going to start a problem with my parents because they don't want you going to my shows. And I was like, okay, yeah, but I got invited business-wise. Like, they invited me to come and do what I do in LA. And he was just like, I don't care because that's going to start an issue and then I have to deal with that, blah, blah, blah. And then I was just like, okay, you know what, whatever, I'm not going to go because I don't want there to be an issue, like more issues than we already have. Like, a lot of our issues had to do with his parents. And so I was like, you know what, if it's going to cause more stress on you and your parents and your family relationship, like, I'm not going to go, whatever, I won't go. So then he goes, no, you know what, just go, it's fine. You know what, I'll deal with it. It's another problem, but whatever, I'll get over it. Just go. And I'm like, at this point, I don't want to go. Again, you're making me feel guilty for going, so I'm not going to go because I don't want to cause problems. Did I end up going? No, guys, I did not end up going for the same reason. So I missed out on a lot of opportunities because I cared more about how it affected him than how it affected me and my career. So for a lot of people that kept asking, oh, you're in London and you're not doing anything, like the opportunities that you talked about, oh, I've gotten a lot of opportunities, but I've turned down a lot of them because of this. Another one I got offered was to host a different club, a separate night apart from AJ, but AJ had a show that night, And so I was going to go with Rekka, and he was like, oh, so you're about to be at the club with Rekka and just a bunch of other people there, like guys can come into your section or whatever. And I was like, well, I'm going to make sure no one comes in my section. He's like, well, I'm not there to see that, and I thought we agreed that we weren't going to go clubbing separately. And I'm like, okay, but it's business, and you have a show, you're going to be at a club separately. And he was like, no, I don't know, I've never seen you do this little host thing, so I would need to see it myself before you do it alone. And I'm just like, didn't end up doing that one either. Another one, there was a Puma event. I got invited to the Puma event, but AJ was like, nope, my dad's gonna be there, it's gonna be an issue with my parents, you know they're not gonna want you to be there, so don't go. I'm like, okay, but I got invited by Puma just the same way you got invited by Puma. Why is it that I can't go because your parents have a problem with it? I'm 22 years old. If they have a problem with it, they can go home. But you know what? It's gonna cause more problems for you, which means it's gonna cause more problems for me because I'm in a relationship with you. So you know what? I'm not gonna go. So I didn't end up going. So, however, when it came to the vacation thing, I think it got to a point where I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, I need space. I need space from AJ. And I told AJ, actually, that he came over one day to the house because he was like, I think he was at a show or something. He was coming back from a show. And he came over, and I told him that I was not in love with him anymore. And I told him, I said, my feelings are just not there. I don't feel the same way about you that I used to. I'm falling out of love with you more and more every day. And I didn't know what to do. And he was like, we can work this out, like, what? I stayed, but I just said I needed space. And so my friend Sarah invited me to come to her uni. So I told AJ, Sarah invited me to come to her uni, and I want to go. And AJ was like, well, I hope you told her no. And I was like, why? And he goes, at unis, it's just a bunch of teenagers, like guys and girls, who just sleep around in each other's dorms and party. And no, I'm not okay with my girlfriend going to that. I don't want... Oh, by the way, he told me, when I said I wanted to go on holiday, he was like, I don't want a girl who holidays. Those are his words. He's like, I don't want a girl who holidays. If that's the kind of girl you are, then you're not the one for me, because I don't want a girl who holidays. So, anyways, I told him I wanted to go to uni. He was like, no, because and if you guys don't believe this, ask Sarah. She literally heard me when I told her, obviously, that why I couldn't come or whatever. But I know that I'm loyal. I know that I'm not going to do anything wrong. And like I said, at this point, my feelings were gone. Sorry, guys, I'm going to go inside because my phone needs to be charged. Or maybe I'll just grab my laptop. Hold on one second. Just grab my laptop. I'm gonna come in a second. So I'm gonna come in a second. Because you were talking to me. Hi, Ferrari. Hi, Ferrari. Can y'all see Ferrari? Y'all can't see him. Let's hope my phone don't die. Ugh. Okay. I hope this is charging. Wait, hold on one second, guys. Okay, he ends up telling me I can't go to the uni, and so I tell Sarah I can't go. But then he ends up leaving for... I can't remember where he ended up going for like a few days or whatever, but something was coming up where he had to leave. And like, I got to a point, me and AJ were arguing again, and I was just stuck in the house because, as you guys know, like, we live in an apartment, and so whenever we get into an argument, AJ could go to his parents' house because they live in London, or he could go to his cousin's house, or he could go to his friend's house. But for me, like, I could go to Rekka's house, but I didn't, like, she lives with her parents, and so I don't really, like, when I want space, I don't really want to have to, like, be careful about, like, what time I'm coming home or whatever. So I didn't really usually go to Rekka's house, but I would just be at our house every single day. Like, I had no escape. And it's like, especially, you know how hard it is to be, like, alone in the same house that you just had an argument in. Like, for instance, me and him are arguing. He could just walk out and go wherever he wants, you know what I'm saying? I can't leave, though. I have nowhere else to go. Like, I can book a hotel for the night, I guess, but, like, why would I do that when I have I don't have to pay for my house. I live in an apartment, I already paid the bills, you know what I'm saying? Why would I go and spend extra money to go stay in a hotel just because I'm angry and I want space? So I'm like, he would leave, he gets to go wherever he wants, or he would even, sometimes he would leave and he would block my number, and he would just, like, be hanging out with his friends, and there would be girls there, or he would go to his parents' house and, like, not respond to any of my texts or whatever, and then just come home whenever he wants to come home. I can't do that, though. The moment I block his number, it's a problem. The moment I'm around guys, it's a problem. So I'm stuck in this house and told I can't go anywhere. I can't go on holiday. I can't go to events. I can't go to the club. I can't go to uni. I can't do none of the stuff. And it's like, it just all started building up. And like I told you guys, I told him already, I just had lost feelings for him. But he convinced me to just stay and just, see what happens or whatever. And so I did that. But it came to a point where we started arguing again, and he had to leave. I think he had, like, studio show, like, one of those days or whatever, like, one of those weekends where he had to, like, go far and stay in the hotels or whatever. And I think that's kind of what triggered me as well, is the fact that he had to stay in hotel rooms for 2 nights. By that, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, like, for you guys to understand. It means he had a show that was far away. And so instead of coming back home the same night as the shows, they would just stay in hotel rooms for the night. But he had 2 of those shows. So he went, let's say it was Thursday, he left my house. He went to studio that night, and then they start driving. Was it a Thursday show? I think they had a show Thursday. They started driving. No, it was Friday. I don't know. He stayed at his parents that night, and then the next night they drove to the show, stayed in a hotel, and then they drove to the other show right after that, like, the next day, drove to the other show, stayed at the hotel that night, and then they come home the next day. And I think the next day he ended up staying at his parents anyways. But knowing that he was staying in a hotel kind of brought up that other situation for me, and I was just like, I'm tired of feeling controlled and feeling stuck and feeling like I have nowhere to go and no one to talk to. Because also another issue I had is that anytime me and AJ have problems, I don't tell anyone our problems. I talk to my mom very rarely about our problems, because my mom is the type to say, you guys are 2 adults, you're in the relationship, your problems are your problems, don't put your problems on anyone else. But AJ likes to go and tell his mom our problems, or go and tell his friends our problems, and then likes to, you guys know, it's just for anyone. Whenever you tell a situation, especially one that you're wrong in, you always try to make it seem like the other person is wrong. So there have been many situations where AJ was in the wrong, but he was able to flip it and make it seem like I was in the wrong. So then when we end up making things better, you already convinced these people that I'm a bad person. So now they're like, oh, we don't like her. And he wonders, like, he says, oh, none of my friends like you. I wonder why. Because you're over there telling them shit that's not true about me to try to make yourself feel better. But then end up getting back together with me and then wondering why they don't like me. That makes no sense. That's why when I have an issue with AJ, I prefer to keep it to myself. Or if I do tell my friends about it, not once have my friends ever said, oh, break up with him, or oh, don't be with him. His friends are like, join the single crew, come be single with us, like, you can be with all these girls, like, you don't have to be tied down, boy, like, come be free with us, da da da. Like, you don't want to be in a relationship. Like, your friends are trying to convince you not to be in a relationship. On top of that, you're trying to tell them bad things about me that aren't true. Obviously they're gonna not like me. So yeah, he would always just tell people things about me that weren't true, or like, tell them stuff that is true about me, but leave out the stuff that he did. Like, it would be like, for instance, why did she yell? Like, he would say, oh, she yelled at me, or oh, she kicked me out the house. Why did she kick you out the house, though? Oh, because I was DMing a girl or something. Not that happened, but I'm just saying, like, that would be the situation. Like, oh, I DM'd a girl, that's why she kicked me out. But he would just say, oh, she just kicked me out. You get what I'm saying? Just trying to make me seem like I'm just a bad person in the situation. Or if we're arguing too much, I would be like, just go to your mom's house. And then he would go to his mom's house and he'd be like, she kicked me out. No, I didn't kick you out. I just told you go to your mom's house for the night, because you can actually leave. I can't go anywhere. So you go to your mom's house for the night so we can have space, we can calm down, come back in the morning and talk. But you want to make it a whole situation and say, oh, she kicked me out, and then complain to your mom, and your mom's like, no, don't go back there. It's just a whole nother thing. You know what I'm saying? So at this point, I was just tired, done with everything. Like, I was just over it. And so something that I did wrong in this situation is, like, I should have, if I'm gonna say I want to be an adult and I can make my own decisions for myself, I need to not be afraid to do that. But that's kind of where it got me to. Like, in our relationship, he got me to the point where I felt afraid to tell him the truth about things. So with that being said, I decided to go to my friend's uni. You guys don't know about this because I posted about it, but I posted on the private story. So I ended up going to Sarah's uni. I didn't tell AJ about it. I told AJ that I was leaving town for 4 days. He asked me where I was going, and I told him that I was going to stay at a hotel in Birmingham, and that I was just going to get a massage and just relax for the 4 days. But that wasn't true. I went to my friend's uni. The first night that I was there, we went to one of the uni events. And then the next day we were there, we just chilled, like with some of her friends. Then the next day we were there, what did we do the next day? I think we just walked around campus and chilled. And then the next day we were there, we ended up going home. Like, we ended up leaving. Diva, it's me! Come here! How'd you get out? How'd you get out?